originally you started with an 875cc single overhead cam. It's quite a sophisticated little engine for its day.
I am going to make sure I don't slag off imp engines at all. They are a really good engine, and I started getting into fitting the bike engines about 8-9 years ago now. So this one is the BMW it's a K1200 RS. It's about 115 to 130.
Yeah, I read 130.
Yeah, for me the fuel injection and the reliability, love the bike engine, and it's the only route for me in a modified car. A lot of people that have fitted bike engines to imps, they've had to cut out the rear seats, and the engine's basically in the car with you. But the beauty of this is if you stand behind it, you wouldn't know it was in there.
Is that it then?
No, there's 2 more. Oh. The longest of these is the white Mark 1, which I've had for over 20 years now. This is my baby really. Custom rad on it that I'd made. Didn't really want to cut the front panel out. Big valve head, big cams. Yeah, so.
Oh, that's definitely not standard.
No. So under the bonnet of this one we've got again 2.1 but normal aspirated Cosworth, Simpson exhaust again.
On Gemvies?
Gemvy, yeah, 45s. So this is
incredibly standard.
Yeah, stage 2, so it's running, it's mild tune, so it's running just over 300 brake, which is not a lot for one of these. It's got the RS 500 rear lip and front spoiler, and then everything else is standard.
Barry Winham's 1988 Fiat Panda started out with a wheezing 900cc engine that made a little over 40 horsepower on a good day. Now it has more than double that. And in a car that weighs 700 kilograms, this adds up to the kind of package that money alone just can't buy.
It has now got the 1.4 16-valve twin-cam engine in.
So that's out of a much later Panda?
Much later Fiat. The engine can be from anything from a Fiat Idea, right. It's the same block as the Fiat 500 Abarth.
And what sort of power does it make?
Way over 100.
Is it? That's why it's so scary on the way
here.
Yeah,
that's so scary, yeah.
And what have you had to do to fit that engine here?
Well, basically the engine bolts in quite easily. Still using the original engine mounts and stuff. I had to cut the floor pan, the transmission tunnel out of the Seicento S and graft it into the Panda.
So it was reasonably complex.
Yeah, not too bad though. Good. I used it for about 6 or 7 years every day, and I still use it every day to this day.
You still use it every day?
Still use it every day. It's my smoker.
What, even in winter?
In the winter, frost, rain, it gets used every day.
And you've painted it as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I painted it just before Christmas. I couldn't get the original colour red, so I ended up going for a Ford Russell red instead.
Right. Now those seats, I remember Fiat Pandas originally had a seat that looked a bit like a deck chair.
That's right.
They look considerably more
yeah,
like
I wanted a bit
armchairs.
more comfy because I use it every day. So
Yeah.
I used Audi S3 or A3 S-line seats in it.
Oh, right.
So that's what I did there.
So it
for
all
the back
matches
seats.
inside?
It all matches, yeah.
So how did you manage to get the ECU ring that?
A good friend of mine's.
Right, he's worth knowing.
Yeah.
There's still loads of room under it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Have you thought about putting anything bigger in? his odd and his fantastic looking Jag Coupe. Robin, this is a replica of a British Leyland touring car, is that the right?
Yes, Ralph Broad, who was very synonymous with Dolomites and Ford Capris and things like that, was tasked with the job of actually creating the vehicles. I don't think it was the easiest of jobs to actually harness this beast. They put a lot of power into it. They were 550 horsepower.
And this was the XJs were a V12 5.3
Correct, yeah,
Jaguar engine.
yeah. And along the way I built a few different bits and pieces. As I got that bit older, thinking, hang on, there's still 2 or 3 on my list.
If you're going to upset people here, why have you not used the Jaguar engine?
A friend of mine had an LS3, the lovely Chevrolet LS3 at 480 horsepower, sitting on the rack, unused.
That's the kind of friends you need. Probably thinking, why would we be featuring a Citroën 2CV on a channel called Practical Performance Car?
Yeah, we've done some sensitive upgrades.
Yeah, sensitive.
Well,
No?
it's a BMW bike engine. It's from I think a 2006 1150 RT touring bike. I thought I had a bright, revolutionary idea when I had my 1200 GS motorbike and another 2CV. And I noticed in my incisive way that the engines were about the same size and of the same configuration, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be great if that were to work?
That is quite a lot bigger than a 2CV engine, isn't it? You've had to cut the inner wings, I see.
This tube takes heat off the cylinder head there, and then there's a little fan in there with a switch inside, which gives it it's considerably better heating than a standard 2CV would have.
And then down there it takes a bit more heat from the exhaust.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. It has heated seats as well. So
heated seats in a 2CV?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you can really drive it all year round without too much trouble.
So standard gearbox.
Yeah.
Hasn't got an LSD or anything like that?
Yeah, it does, yeah. Sorry,
does it?
I beg your pardon. Yes, it does. It does have an LSD.
Considerably more nippy than a standard 2CV.
It is.
God.
Starts to get very interesting at about 5,000 revs.
Oh, I bet,
You notice it really takes off then.
Just like a 2CV, just an awful lot quicker.
Exactly, that's what I love about it.
Yeah. That was brilliant, thanks.
That's all right.
What a fantastic thing.
It's, yeah.
some time, haven't
Yes, 27 years.
you? Just 27 years?
Yes. Somebody took me out in their turbo MGB, and that got me excited. So I put a turbo on this, so it came, if it was in a Metro Turbo, it would be making about 4 psi boost.
Right.
It now makes 23, so
23
yes,
psi boost.
yes,
That's quite a lot of boost.
yes. I keep the inlet temperatures down.
And of course, you're not thrashing it up a hill climb or round a circuit.
No, it wouldn't take that. It would do that to the pistons.
Yeah, that's not very good, is it?
Not good, no.
So you presumably take it to Santa Pod quite regularly?
Yes, yeah, I go 5 or 6 times a year normally and thrash it.
What sort of time do you?
The best it's done is around 11.7 seconds at 116 miles an hour.
Wow. What sort of power is it making?
It's making about 230 horsepower on the road with the turbo, and then the nitrous adds about another 70 horsepower. So around
300
horsepower. Mm.
That's incredible.
And it weighs about 680 kilos, so it's somewhere around 450 bhp per tonne.
Yeah.
Turbos?
2 turbos, yeah, one's not enough.
Apparently not. What did it start with, engine-wise, Sam?
Originally it's a 1.5 turbo diesel. So yeah, it's got a hybrid turbo that I built for it in the standard location.
When you say hybrid, what bits did you use to do that?
It's got GT2056. The original engines have tiny little turbos.
And this hybrid you built is still sitting in the original position.
It's still in the original position, yeah. So.
And then the boost from that comes out of that and goes into another turbo.
No.
No?
No, technically. So it's all still plumbed up how it was with the single turbo. So it goes turbo, intercooler, inlet, but you just stick another turbo on the side. So that's driven by the exhaust from the smaller turbo.
So the exhaust comes out of the exhaust ports into the manifold through the first original...
Through the small turbo.
Turbo. And then when it comes out of that, it then goes and feeds the second turbo.
Into the bigger turbo, and then that boosts the second one.
You got any idea what kind of boost you're getting now then?
Currently around about 32 psi.
Right.
When I dynoed it, we saw 45 plus. I just sort of throw things together and hope that it works.
Experiment.
So, yeah, there's
Fair
a few
enough.
things you can do to them that's quite simple that will give you more power. So.
So did you have to do a lot of work to it when you got it?
I did, yes.
So you had a Vauxhall engine. So
Yeah.
what's that from? A Cavalier or something?
Cavalier SRI, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So it's an 8-valve engine still.
It's still an 8-valve.
Rob, just tell us again how you made this exhaust system.
I sand bent the tubing, so I took a week off work, bought all the tubing, built a little kiln in my mum and dad's back garden. This is like weld the end of the tube up, pack it hard with sand, keep ramrodding it down, weld the other end up, and then I could pass them right through the kiln, so I could heat the portion up that I wanted to cherry red, and then bend it, and because it's packed with sand, they don't deform.
While to build this, didn't it?
It did. So I bought it in May 2015.
Yeah.
Drove it for about 3 or 4 hours home.
Well, just as a standard car, drove it home.
Bog standard 1200S with a 4-speed gearbox, and I always knew I was going to put a bigger engine in. Body-wise, it's had a bare shell respray in the original colour. It's been completely rebuilt from the bottom end up, so bottom end's been reground, rebalanced, new shells. Piston-wise, the bores were scored, so it's been rebored. Drove 208 miles today.
Not just to see us, I hasten to add.
No, obviously come to the VB08. Yeah, we did one stop, but it just sits. I can sit at 70 nicely. It's not too bad on fuel. Yeah.
MGB engine in here, have you?
No. So inside it's a 2-litre Ford Duratec,
Right.
which was originally. This is actually my second Duratec. The first one came from a Ford Fiesta ST150.
Yeah, it wasn't enough.
No. So I always wanted to build a really proper semi-race engine. The cylinder head, it's got K1 Technologies bronze valve guides, Kent cams, which have 11mm of lift, 280 degrees duration, so it's quite a hefty cam. Yeah. Direct head throttle bodies from Gen V, and I had to have the exhaust completely custom made to the car.
Never killed me before, and if it does, it'll only be once.
This is the back of an old refrigerated truck, because they're insulated obviously, so it makes a nice warm workshop. So Charlie cut a door in it and set it into the ground here, and if we go around to the front we can see what's in it.
On the front of this engine, when Charlie got it, it was called a wheel case?
Yeah, it's got a bit like a big gearbox they call a wheel case, which is cast iron because it was made for the tanks.
Yeah, so they weren't worried.
And it's as much as you can pick up. I think it was made by a company that made manhole lid covers. And that was the only bit that was really different in material than the Merlin. Yeah, getting rid of that
meant that Charlie lost the drive.
Yeah,
the drive system that drove the cams, which was a shaft, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all shafts and gears. So
this cam belt system is entirely.
That's all new. The heads have been cut off in a bandsaw there, and then the valve covers we made, the end bits we made, all that plenum is all made. The idea was to make a centrifugal compressor. Our Procharger is all backwards. It doesn't fit.
And this is a turbocharger.
That's the air side of a turbo.
Down here is a gearbox that Charlie's built, which spins it up to 45. 56,000
RPM. Yeah. But in there, behind those plates, there's a big tooth belt pulley that's 3-to-1 to a shaft down there.
The engine basically comes back to here.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's right back there.
So you're sitting almost where the rear seats were.
Yeah.
And he made his own dyno, engine dyno.
Yeah. There's a video of that, isn't there, still online?
So it's a Ford 9-inch.
It's Ford F-150 pickup truck.
Yeah, there you go.
70s.
You can use this because this engine revs at a maximum of 3,000 RPM, which wouldn't work with a standard back axle. And the gearbox is a GM TH400. In order to get the engine speed up to the sort of revs that gearbox and this axle need, there's an epicyclic gear set.
Which I can show you. There's the one in the boot, which is... It's from an Allison
dust cart,
MT643, which is a fire engine dust cart.
So that takes the engine speed and multiplies
2.77. Yeah, about 2.7. Yeah.
So the gearbox and the back axle can just be standard.
It's seen a reasonable RPM and torque. Sure.
What's your plan for this now? Because you've got something you want to achieve.
Well, I always thought it'd be nice if we could pull 200 mile an hour, and we pulled 187 at Bruntingthorpe with the old engine. Right. Got to make a new gearbox, and the supercharger's going to end up in front of the radiator with the drive shaft under the rad.
Why a Fiat Panda?
So I had one as my first car. My first car ended up getting sold just because it was a bit of a rotter. My dad suggested that I sold it, but just had the hankering to do this to a Panda ever since. It was a barn find in 2019. It had done 2,500 miles when I bought it. It's a 1.2 16 valve Fiat engine out of a Punto that's been quite heavily reworked and gone over. The crux of it are a very basic swap that a lot of people do to these to make them a bit more drivable and usable.
It sits quite low, which is a bit of an understatement.
It does. They custom made front coilovers for it, and they made shortened shocks for the rear. They're a Willwood caliper with a mount made myself that mounts to original mounting points for the original calipers.
This is not one for the E-Type purists. I'm here with Glenn Porter, who's just bought this, and I don't think he's quite sure why he's bought it. The whole floor pan is BMW E30, isn't it?
Yeah, E30. It originally came off a Cabriolet 325i, 24 valve, 2.5 litre engine.
Straight six.
Yeah.
Right. It does sound a bit tame, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, there's no, it's, I don't get it. For what you've built, it should be shouting at you.
When you say you're going to use it every day, you're going to use it in the winter as well.
Well, I don't see why not. I don't work far from home. It depends what it looks like. Looking like this, I don't want to use it every day. But if I go to the extent of making it look like a lightweight racing car and having it all painted, then maybe.
And what sort of power is that making?
431 brake horse.
Right, so it makes for quite a nippy ride then.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's scary when you come on boost. Like. What got me into it is because I grew up with my dad having his Ascona, and I always wanted one, and I got this.
Because this,
so,
I mean, you're probably quite a lot younger than this car, aren't you?
Yeah. This is 1980, I was born in 98.
Right. So what got you into cars that old?
Just growing up with my dad having his. And it's got an Atlas rear axle.
Has it? So
yeah.
It's got a forward back axle?
Yeah. To be fair, it scares me. As soon as you put your foot down, you need to change your undies.
Have you ever driven it in the wet?
No. Oh. No, not really.
Well, I think you'll find out quite how scary it can be if you
do.
Life, I've always wanted to measure. I'm not interested in opinions. Today, if we're just talking about porting and polishing and gas flow, various terms, we're changing the shape. The polishing is just a sales thing. If it's not shiny, you can't sell it.
So the polishing doesn't gain you any power?
No, there's a big step, yeah.
And is that just left from the casting?
That's just left from the machine.
Oh, and then they just stop?
And then it just stops, so then you've got a big step.
Yeah.
And it looks horrendous. But I can tell you now, because I've already done the work, you can smooth all that out, and I've got a port here. If you look in there, where I've taken all the step and everything out, and I gain almost nothing. It will look much faster if I polish it.
It would, yeah.
Yeah,
it would.
And it's easier to sell. The first thing you discover is that a big hole flows more air than a small hole.
Really?
Yeah. But if you've got a conventional follower where the cam lobe is rubbing against the follower, if it accelerates too fast, it squeezes all the oil out between the cam and the follower, and they wear out.
Right.
And that was the classic problem with the Pinto.
I thought you might mention them. Yeah.
Dreadful things. This is a very old-fashioned flow bench. It's about 30 years old.
Right.
Same as me. Yeah, you have to plug it in. Yeah. I'm working on that one.
You want to switch it on as well?
Is it not on? Can't see. Yep. Right. I'll just go stupidly full lift. Try again. That's why that valve is there, to catch idiots like me who are trying to get a massive flow through that little diddy hole. Yeah, let's cut through the nonsense and measure things.
Okay, we'll
Yeah,
see you
we'll
then.
give you the power output, the torque, and we'll have the flow figures to back it up.
Great.
Okay.
Look forward to it. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers. You're a bit of a Simca fan, it's fair to say, isn't it?
That's putting it mildly.
How many have you got?
I've got 6 at present. There's only 2 of the Rally 2 model, which were never sold new here.
Oh, right.
Prior to the Second World War, they made Fiats under licence.
So they basically just built Fiat Topolinos in France?
Yeah.
But they had Fiat engines, yeah?
I believe so, yeah.
Whereas this is not a Fiat engine, it's a Simca engine.
No.
So it's just bored out to a higher capacity?
No, it's the 1442 came from the front-wheel drive Alpine, Horizon and the Matra Bagheera.
Oh, right, the Chrysler Alpine.
Yeah, and they turn in the opposite direction to the rear engine cars.
Right.
And so with a bit of jiggery pokery, using the correct cam and everything and all the correct outer bits, we've made a race engine that turns in the opposite direction.
Right. Wow. So you've got it spinning in the other direction?
Oh yeah, it's a common thing. No, spare engines are now more common for the front-wheel drive cars, the clockwise rotating ones, than for these.
So what does this weigh?
Well, this will weigh about 750 kilograms.
So it's quite a nippy little thing.
Yeah. Well, on the original Bertone coupes, it was the four-wheel disc brakes were pointless because they were like the old Volkswagen Carman gear, all show and no go. 67 onwards, they decided to make it into a sports car and gave it twice the power with a twin, with a 1204 engine with 12 twin-choke Solexes.
But this sort of wide cambered stance, that's standard, is it?
Well, the rally models were set to negative camber to start with.
They were, right.
Yeah, because Chrysler owned Simca and the Roots
Chrysler were
Group.
trying to sell Alpines.
Well, no, they were trying to sell hot imps. And Avengers.
And it is very much like a sort of French version of an imp, isn't it?
It is, but I like to be patriotic, but these work a ton better.
Yeah, let's put it away and call it a day, huh?
Yeah.